Thank you, very esteemed panelists, for joining us at the Youth Leadership Convention 2025. I'm going to start with you, Aisha Ochua. You've made a remarkable transition from a career in law to becoming a renowned jeweler and entrepreneur. What inspired this career shift, and what skills or experiences from your legal background have been surprisingly relevant to your success in the luxury industry?
Hello, House. Okay, thank you very much for that question. Well, law sharpened my mind and gave me an insight into the legalities of running a business, but jewelry captured my heart. Now, from a very young age, I loved to play with precious metals. Now, the precious metals that I was exposed to, steel. Right, I was exposed to stainless steel from a young age because my stepmom had a shop in Mami Market where she sold stainless steel jewelry. So my first experience was helping her sell in the market. So I had an idea of, how to attend to customers and all the little things you pick up by helping your parents when they have a business. And then how I transitioned into my business was literally by chance. And this was in 2010. So I followed her to a supplier's store where she was buying her jewelry from, and I had 150 naira in my pocket. So I saw a beautiful pair of earrings, pearl and stainless steel, and I bought it. I just put it on my ears. When I got home, my dad asked me to get him recharge card and paracetamol from the pharmacy. While I was buying that, an elderly woman saw me wearing the earrings and said, "Oh, very pretty. I have a similar necklace." And I immediately told her, "I have it available for sale." She asked me how much, and I told her 1,500. So she asked me to give her 2 pairs, that she was going to give one to her daughter. She pointed at her gate, and I told her I'll get it to her in less than 30 minutes. I went home very happy, told my dad about it, and he gave me 4,000 naira. I quickly took a bike, went back to the market, and bought 3 pairs. When I got to her house, her sister was there, and that was how they bought all 3 pairs, and I made 4,500 from that purchase. So what that told me was, with a little investment, I could make some profit. I had that in mind. I went to university, Babcock, and in school, I heard how people talked about different businesses and how we're not allowed to do business in school. So people talked about the different businesses they did, when they got back home, and I had that in mind. I was like, oh, I have an experience, an already existing experience selling some jewelry to people and making some good profits from the little investment I put in. So when I got back home after the holidays, I asked my dad. It was a very risky move, but my dad trusted me. I asked him to give me my school fees, which was a lot of money at the time, that I was going to pay my school fees with a promise I was going to pay my school fees. So when he gave me that money, I took it to the market, I bought some jewelry, and I was going from bank to bank, office to office, everywhere around me, selling jewelry. And by the time school had resumed, I had gotten my school fees in 4 folds. So I had the confidence that I could do business and succeed, but I had no formal knowledge of how to properly run a business. So where the law came in was, I really focused in class to learn about commercial transactions, about intellectual property, about taxation. So law literally sharpened my mind and gave me in-depth knowledge on how to properly run a business to make it successful. But my first passion has always been jewelry.
Fantastic. Talk about inspiring possibilities. Dr. Chinonso Egemba, the next question goes to you, Aproko Doctor. You've successfully merged your medical expertise with your passion for storytelling and content creation. How did you navigate this unconventional path, and what advice would you give to young people who want to combine their passions with their profession?
Thank you very much for that question. Can I speak freely?
Speak like you're doing Aproko with us.
So basically, I got into this path of work and life because of anger, right? And I was angry at a lot of things. I didn't go to school in Covenant. I didn't go to school in Babcock or any of these private schools. I went to a federal university, and that's Nnamdi Azikiwe University. And one of the things you would notice is that our medical school is in a village, right? And I left there and I tried to get housemanship. And I couldn't get housemanship for almost 2 years. And by the time I finally got housemanship, it was in Imo State University Teaching Hospital. Now, I got into Imo State University Teaching Hospital, and the governor at that time owed salary for a couple of months, and so everybody went on strike. And while everybody went on strike, one of the things that the governor said was, as long as you're on strike, you won't get paid. And this required us to not just work in that hospital, but also work in other hospitals in order to put food on the table. While working in these other hospitals, they brought a baby in. And this baby came in, and when this baby came in, the baby was paper white. This meant that the baby had lost a lot of blood. In medicine, we call that pallor. And while I was attending to this baby, trying to rescue the baby as the only doctor in that private hospital, I started to ask some questions. What did you do? Why is this baby like this? And we found out that the baby had fever and was convulsing for a while. This baby that has been convulsing, the mother thought she was actually helping by peeing in this baby's eyes. It will sound like Nollywood, but I promise you it's true. Aside from that, the convulsions did not end. So what did she do? She went ahead and carried this baby's feet and placed coal, hot coal, on it. Now, you would look at this woman sitting in your box and assume that, why does she want to kill the baby? But let us assume that this woman loves her baby, right? And she's trying to do everything in order to help this baby. Are we also talking? So in other words, people do not do better than they know. This woman was doing the best she knew. And I realized that there was a bigger problem. There was no knowledge about medical things in the average society. Because when you're a professional in your own field, you have what we call the curse of knowledge. And what the curse of knowledge simply means is that if something is very obvious to you, you assume it's very obvious to other people. But that's not true. Right? It's like a photographer, for instance. You guys would agree with me. When you guys talk about like ISOs and exposures, you assume everybody should know what that means. But almost half of the people in this room don't know what it is. So, and we were not reaching out. And so people kept doing the wrong things and coming to the hospital. And we all know that prevention is better than cure. Prevention is also cheaper than cure. And so I started to, I wanted to help people. One of the things that we did was I tried to get into radio station. 2 radio stations rejected me. They told me I wasn't good enough, right? Yes, at that time I wasn't good enough, to be honest. Not be their fault. I was boring. Simply because I was talking as a doctor. And then something happened. One day I told a story of something that happened in the hospital, and it went viral. And so it got me thinking, people love stories. And what did we do? We decided to share stories in everything we do. Nkechi and Emeka are characters. But they are relatable people like you and I. Are we talking? So if you're sitting here, and that's the second part of the question. If you're sitting here and you want to make that sort, I don't want to call it a career change. Because people think I am an influencer. I am a medical doctor who tells stories. I am not a celebrity. I am a medical doctor who has told stories and happens to be famous. So you should not necessarily think of switching if you are pushed by a passion. The skills that you have in you, the training that you have, up until this point is leading to something. Many times, many people don't stay through at this simply because they are impatient. If you're driven and you're obsessed about a goal, you will pay the price of time. If I tell you I've been doing this since 2015, would you believe me? 10 years of dedicating my life to storytelling that will help change the behaviors of people. Thank you.
Very powerful. Transforming pain into purpose. I'm going to go to you now, Brain Jotter. Your rise to fame has been remarkable, especially considering you started creating comedy skits in 2020, very recently. What were some of the key challenges you faced in the early days, and how did you overcome them to become one of Nigeria's most popular skit makers?
Okay. All right. Somebody said by go. Anyways, first of all, I really want to appreciate the graphic designers for making me look like this. Yeah, I feel like that best explains it. It means by just being me and being as imperfect as I could be, because I feel like everybody here is wearing suits. They're on wigs, makeup, trying to look perfect. Meanwhile, sometimes all we see is perfection, and then the fear of being real or being imperfect, becomes valuable, because value is placed on scarcity. So when everything I see is technology, beauty, blah, sometimes I would miss my village. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So there is so much potential, value in being you than trying to be somebody else. Like he said he's still a doctor that is famous, but he's not an influencer. Now, somebody else would see Brain Jotter and would say, probably as a very good businessman or a marketer, they've tried marketing for a while, and then they'll be like, I want to be like Brain Jotter because marketing is not giving me money. Then I want to be like Brain Jotter. Then tomorrow you wear green and you start dancing like a Nick on pool. And Brain Jotter might be dancing and they'll be clapping and you're dancing and everybody is staying away from you and you don't ask yourself what is going on. So the bottom line is, what has brought me here today is embracing imperfection. I'm me. I do it the way it's built here, and that's what makes it exceptional. Thank you.
Thank you for your contribution. Mrs. Aishat, happy International Women's Day. You've had a diverse career spanning law, social entrepreneurship, and public service. How do you balance your multiple passions and interests, and what advice would you give to young people who are similarly multifaceted?
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Can I just give a shout out to the audience that you guys are still seated all through from morning to this evening? Like you are the crowd I want at my next event, okay? You are the real G's. Thank you so much. And shout out to Jamie. Jamie made use of his network. Mr. Governor was like, Aisha, you need to be here. So I've been here since morning, but I'm enjoying it. So thank you to all the speakers that came before me. Thank you. So yes, I am pretty multifaceted. So I started my business. It's called Mrs. President at the age of 18. So the first person to invest in me is actually King Charles. So I remember whilst growing up, I had a job at Boots. I'm not sure if anyone knows Boots. Boots is a popular cosmetic brand in London. And I was then doing my master's as well, and I was running a business. So I would wake up at 6 a.m., I would go to Boots, finish Boots at 1, then go to my lectures in Westminster up till 4 o'clock. Then 5 o'clock, I start doing deliveries for my clothes. So, and then I was volunteering. So you see me in Tanzania today, you see me in Kenya today, just being a serial volunteer. So I had so many dreams, and I still do. But I think what helps is that it's all hitting the same goal. So they don't look like they are completely different or isolated, because they are all going to have the same ending eventually. And the key for me is this idea of work-life balance, work-life this, I do not like it. Yep. Right? There's nothing like work-life balance. I think it's prioritization. If you prioritize effectively, you can meet every need you need to. Some of us are married, some of us have kids, some of us are still filled with dreams, and massive, massive dreams at that. And it's effectively prioritizing. And then when you're prioritizing, you're putting the best you can put in every aspect of that prioritization. From that, I started my career, my public service career actually started in the UK, but for Nigeria, I started in Kaduna. I was special assistant to Governor Nasir El-Rufai before even moving to Lagos. Listen, I am completely humble in my space. I'm ready to try everything new, beyond and above, because at the end of the day, I'm still very young, and I want to be socks dry. I want to be so tired that I've given it to my all. So for me, just balancing this or that is not enough. It's prioritizing effectively. It's knowing that I'm just here. I'm also motivated by the idea that I'm just here for a brief moment. And I want to give it my all. I don't want to go out of this world knowing that I did not give my best in it. I want to give it every bit I have got. And for everybody that has left before me, I want to get as much out of each one of them. And that's what drives me. So then that drive makes it look like, oh, I'm the superwoman and I can do it all. No, I am just completely driven. And when you're driven as a young person, you begin to just create magic in your space. Magic here, magic there. And nothing would absolutely stop you, not even time, because you will just constantly create magic if you're fully aware. So yes, I'm driven by passion, not time. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Please, thank you. The panel session will continue in just 30 seconds. Due to a glitch on the OPay platform, everyone who bought Dr. Linus's book has gotten their payment reversed. Please, today we talked about integrity. If you have had your payments reversed, please come to the left side of the hall and meet with me so we can reinitiate payments. Thank you so much.
What makes you think it's not a sign? Who says it's not a sign? Well, apropos, doctor, I'm coming back to you. So what's next is just as important as what's now. So I'm going to ask you this question. With your plans to expand into film production and build an academy for health influencers, it's clear you're committed to driving meaningful change in healthcare. What drives your innovative spirit, and how do you stay ahead of the curve in terms of identifying emerging trends and opportunities in healthcare?
Okay. I'll ask again, can I speak freely? So I'll piggyback off what the last speaker said. I don't like the word work-life balance. The word I like is work-life integration. And the reason is, if you're looking for a way to separate your work and your life, it means you don't care about your work enough. I'll say it again. You need to be obsessed with whatever passion or goal that you're having. As a matter of fact, it is that obsession that leads to creativity. We think that creativity is just sitting down and making something out of nothing. Here's what I think creativity is. Creativity is getting all the information you've picked from everywhere you have been in life and linking it in a way that nobody else has linked it. Whether you're a doctor, you learn what you've learned in medicine. I'll use myself as an example. I've learned what I've learned in storytelling. I've learned what I've learned in public speaking. I've learned what I've learned in personal interaction with people. I am able to bring all that together in one place and call it a Procodoctor. That is why you can't put me in a box. It might sound like pride, like say I don't dey brag. But the reason is I am obsessed with this passion and goal that I am always reinventing the wheel. So you need to be obsessed enough with whatever you're doing. If you are not obsessed enough, you are going to be like the people who probably never make it to the top. It's very easy to blow on social media. True or false? True. All it takes is one viral post. And boom, you're there. But guess what? How do you stay on top? How do you stay there? And so you have a lot of young people who are obsessed with going viral. That's why they are employing different methods to go viral. From lies, to pranks, to showing parts of the body that should only be seen in your parlor or your room. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
But then it's just for a moment and that goes. You cannot build anything that is worthwhile if you're chasing trends. So look at what you're currently doing. If new ideas are not currently coming to you day by day, minute by minute, you're not obsessed enough about it. Find something else and do. So, creativity, two things. Intelligence from different parts of life linking in one place. And number two, obsessive enough to be able to always reinvent the wheel. What was the second question, please? Sorry, just the last question.
The last bit of it is, how do you stay ahead of the curve in terms of identifying emerging trends and opportunities in healthcare?
Oh yeah, I think I've answered that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for a powerful landing. Brain Jota, I'll be addressing you now. What has been some of the most significant turning points in your career, and what lessons have you learned from your experiences that you would like to share with young people who are just starting out?
Okay, can you ask that question again? No, I want to understand.
What has been some of the most significant turning points in your career? And what lessons have you learned from your experiences that you would like to share with young people who are just starting out, newbies?
Okay. So, one of the major things I would like to share is the fact that it is very okay to not know what's next. It is very okay. Yeah, a lot of us make a lot of mistakes because probably we get to a point where we're like, where do I go from here? And then it feels like it's just us. I want you to understand that him, myself, she, her, we get to that point once or twice in a month. Yeah. If you watch for 3 weeks, I actually didn't post anything new because I had loads of travels and then, I was focusing on something else. So, but me 1 year ago will be pressured into saying, I never post, they no go like me again, I'm going out, I'm not posting or I'm not creating because it has not come. So all I do is I be in a positive space, speak to people that give me genuine feedbacks, and make sure I probably filter what comes in so that I can get back to that creative space and then I create again. But the problem is a lot of us get to that place where we're paused and then we start talking to everybody. Meanwhile, all we have to do is just to relax, understand this state or this stage we are in, and re-strategize. So what I've learned is it is very okay to get to a point where you probably don't know what next. It is very fine. You are not, it's not spiritual. Your pastor does not have any business when you get to that stage. It is you versus you. Just acknowledge that stage. Speak to people that would give you genuine opinions and probably re-strategize. So that has been what has been keeping me going.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Aisha Ochua, now to you. As the Group Managing Director of the Aisha Ochua Group, you've built a successful business empire with multiple companies. What are some key lessons you've learned about entrepreneurship? And how do you approach innovation, risk-taking, and leadership in your business?
Okay, so people often ask me how I'm able to manage different companies. I mean, also considering the fact that they are all intertwined. But I can sit here and tell you I'm a great businesswoman or I have the best business strategies, but the truth is I bank on people currency. Now, people currency in the sense that I understand the value of people, and I'm going to divide this into two. Now, I'm going to talk about my team and mentors. Now, for my team, they play a very key role in making my business successful, and they do everything they can do every day, to keep the business going, to make sure sales, come in, to ensure customers are satisfied, and to ensure that we stock up on products continuously, making, new designs, appreciating the value. Now, earlier when I spoke, I made a statement which was very deliberate. I said at a young age I was exposed to precious metals, and I said stainless steel. Now, I'm sure a lot of people that heard me would have wondered why I'm calling stainless steel a precious metal. But I have now let me skip the first 5 years of my business, from 2010 to 2015. I have over 10 years of actual experience in this business, and I have come to realize that your perception of your products will determine how well you sell and how well you're able to sell it to people. Now, we call stainless steel precious metal. We call our stainless steel jewelry our precious metal because I believe that the minute that metal has been transformed into a beautiful piece of jewelry, it has become precious. And how you perceive it, how you value it will determine how well you're able to sell to your customers and convince them to value it. So what I do in my business is, number one, I get a team of people who are fired up, eager to learn, eager to work, and try to teach them the ropes. Now, most of the people, in fact, everybody who works in my company now, when they came, they had no knowledge at all of a jewelry business or probably no direct experience with even jewelry. They came as complete novice. I took my time to teach them, to train them, not being stingy with knowledge, understanding that most times we need to invest in people for them to give us the returns we expect. And that's where my leadership skill comes in. Now, the person who handles my laser customization machine right now, when he started last year, he was my cleaner. He was my cleaner in my house for 4 years. But for those 4 years, I noticed a pattern. I noticed honesty, I noticed determination, and his eagerness to become somebody, right? So what I did was I took my time to train him. The first thing we did was to take him to a computer school, taught him the ropes on how to use a computer because he had no knowledge, no form of education, just that he could communicate effectively. And in order to operate the machine, we needed him to have some good knowledge on how to, use a computer. So we trained him. Now that training is investing in him. That's the interpretation of that training. What we did was we invested in him, and right now he can operate the machine, and he has made us lots and lots of money. In fact, he has discovered some dimensions of the machine that we did not even know. And before him, I had employed other people who were clueless as to how to use the machine, except from what I taught them. And of course, I don't know the totality of the machine. But my point here is, I bank on people currency. I believe in people. I try to, help them harness their potentials, see things that they are not seeing from their own perception. And this has made my team members, dedicated to my cause and my vision. The second part is mentors. Now, I believe so much in the credibility of people who have put in the work to get to the point they are, who have put in the work to gather the information, the experience they have. And now these people have benefited my business in the sense that they have recommended, they have, helped us to get deals, they trust them. Because jewelry, especially the luxury dimension, it involves handing over a lot of money to someone who you're not even sure will deliver on the production the way you want it. So these people have put their credibility on the line for us, referring us to people who have brought jobs. So, that's how I'm able to manage the business, the company. Now, what's the second part you said?
I think you've done the both.
Leadership, so yeah, and
innovation, risk-taking leadership. Yeah,
innovation.
You've covered it.
So for innovation, well, I don't think there's any design that we create that has not already been made by someone. So what we do when we handle our production, we try to apply the beauty of craftsmanship to bring perfection in our results, and twist designs, merge two ideas together to produce something beautiful that someone will say, oh, I've seen this before, but this looks slightly different. We just try to apply, effectiveness into our methods and what we've learned to produce beauty. Wow, for risk-taking. Well, I don't think anyone is ever 100% sure when they have ideas or decisions to make. So what I do is I try my best to make calculated risks and not careless ones, hoping for the best, applying the best strategies and hoping to get the results that I want. But but the word risks, I don't know how to explain that, but in business, you always find yourself taking risks. And if you don't take them, you wouldn't know how the results will come out anyways.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Aisha Ochua, I'm going to head on to Mrs. Aisha Tagbaje Okwade now. Your work in Kurumin, Kaduna, particularly in establishing essential infrastructure and initiating the Kaduna Marathon, is truly inspiring. Can you share some insights on how you identify and address social inequalities and what strategies you found most effective in driving sustainable change?
That's a very long question, and that's a lot of question in one. So Kurumin Kaduna is a place in Kaduna. It's an isolated community. So I worked in Kaduna State for about 2-3 years. So it's an isolated community in which I intervened in alongside the chief of staff in Kaduna then, who is the current deputy governor of Central Bank, Datijo, who is a very good egbon of mine. So it's a community we intervened in. I think that question really pertains, the answer to that question is really in my first question. Because it's passion, it's determination, it's, everybody must go into a room and leave that room better than you met it. And when you enter those rooms, whatever successes you come out of those rooms, because I never thought there would be a day whereby someone will be asking me questions about Kaduna Marathon. Kaduna what? I had finished that a long time ago. But I took risk, right? Kaduna, people thought it was a bit insecure then, and having people run a marathon with 10,000 people coming from different states, it was a risk. But the thing, what I know for sure is this. Keep doing what you're doing, right? The person that what you're doing matters to will find you. And that person is just one. So which means you will get 999 people that will be not see it. But all you need is that one person. And that one person will see it. And they will now give you every single thing you need. But if you're deterred by that 999 people, you've entered it, because you shouldn't have been deterred. So, and I think that's the story with Kaduna Marathon. I initiated Kaduna Marathon at the age of 25. And it took one person, which was Mr. Jimmy Lawal, that just read it and he picked it up. Jimmy Lawal is the former MD of Alpha Merchant Banks. For all my older Egbons here, you should know Alpha Merchant Bank. And he saw it and he picked it up. So sustainable change is as you go on. You don't know when you achieve sustainability. It's not something tangible, right? But it's about going into places and being systemical about it. It's about going into places and being strategic about it. And by being both, you then create sustainability. So if you are saying you're trying to create sustainability and not keeping in mind the strategy or the systems that you're building with it, there is no sustainability in those places. So you go in, you create something, ensure it's sustainable. So when we intervened in Kumin Kaduna, yes, we built a premier healthcare center. Yes, we renovated the secondary schools and all of that there. But what we also went back to do was we went back to collect a data and did a head count. I carried an iPad myself, and I was walking in the sun. And something amazing that I learned there was, it's a funny story in the northern side. So we would go in, carry an iPad. They'll be sharing. You see a family sharing about one room, and there's about 24 people living in that room. And the parents that give birth to the children don't even remember their names. So you have to ask the children in the street for the names of the child for you to even collect the data, right? So it was important to build sustainability, to not just go to these people when you need their votes, but to also say your life matters. And I think in Nigeria today, if you're abroad, they tell you someone has died, we are all shocked. But in Nigeria, if you tell us 20 people have died, it's like, okay. So I think it's also caring about lives, caring about that everybody matters, and you matter in the scope, because someone's destiny is attached to your destiny. And God cannot be stranded. But however, if you choose to go the other way around, God will find someone else to help that destiny, right? So it's up to you. But you should be grateful that you are the instrument and the tool that God has given that purpose to. And in that gratefulness that you're the scepter, you are able to inspire lives. You are able to change things. And I think for me, my life is one of purpose. And I completely identify and understand that. By virtue of that understanding, I go into places and I create systems. I actually build systems. I create strategies. I empower. I innovate. I strengthen. I build women to be the best version of themselves. I empower even men if I have to, but my side is women first, right? And then we create that. That's the foundation for everything for me. Everything else is complementary, and nothing can go wrong with having that side. I think young people, we must agree that we're a bit prideful sometimes. And it's when you set aside that pride and you focus on determination and you being the best part of yourself. Listen, the world is not ready for you. Forget motivation, forget this. Let your spirit speak to you on what's next. You can never go wrong. You can absolutely never go wrong, because we are all on this same journey to be supported and inspired.
Thank you very much. This is a room filled with teaming youth. So I'm going to ask round again, if you could see yourself, 20-year-old version of yourself in the mirror, what one sentence would you tell yourself? What one sentence would you tell your 20-year-old self?
For me, it's keep growing.
I won't tell myself anything. Okay, get out. Whatever I tell you now is a big lie. I'm telling you, man. 20 years from now, yeah, get out.
This last.
Well,
I would say calm down and just plan properly.
I would say trust God. Trust God.
Okay.
Trust that He has it all figured out. Trust that where you are, even currently right now, will not be where you are in the next year. Trust that God can compress 10 years into 1 year. Trust that He can change the foundation and the structure. Don't go down that path. Don't be tempted by what your friends are doing. Oh, there's teenage pregnancy. Don't do it. Trust God, because you are here on a mission. And it's a mission bigger and greater than yourself.
Thank you to our incredible panelists. I'm going to invite Dr. Jamie Pajoel up on stage for pictures with the panelists, please.